and welcome to another episode of Coach and Coffee. It is what they call scorcher out today. It's very hot, very sunny, but you know, nice weather's nice weather, so got to enjoy it. If you do not have your coffee with you yet, go and get your coffee, come back, sit down, relax. I switched coffees because I ran out of the apple something coffee flavored one I had, can't remember. It was pretty good. And now I have French vanilla, and I've had it before a long time ago, but I forgot what it tasted like, and I actually like it too. So I know some of you out there are like, you can't have flavored coffee, and I'm like, yeah, I can, and I do. So it's pretty good. I'm going to sit down real quick because today we are talking about suspension training. So this is a TRX. TRX is a specific company. It's a specific brand. It stands for Total Resistance Exercise. It was developed by a ex-Navy SEAL. When he got out of the SEALs, he got his MBA and then started TRX. Interesting background story. Anyway, they work similarly to rings for many different exercises, but then there are a lot of exercises you can do with the TRX that you can't do with rings, or with any suspension trainer that you can't do with rings. There is a lot of crossover, but not exactly the same thing. TRX is a patented, sounds weird to say, tool. And so there are a lot of knockoff brands of suspension trainers, and I'll just call them knockoff because TRX was technically the original and the others came after it, and there were patent infringement lawsuits that happened and a bunch of settlements that occurred. I don't know that the other companies are still allowed to produce them. I'm not really sure how that works because they still sell them. So I'm not sure if they're allowed to sell out what inventory they have left and not produce more, or they're allowed to produce more but they had to pay a bunch of money to TRX. I'm not sure how that works. Just know that there are multiple different suspension training systems out there. Almost all of the other brands other than TRX look almost exactly like to each other, but they look different than TRX, and there's a different setup. You can do more exercises with TRX just because of the way it's set up. Suspension training is a really great tool to use for OCR training because of the amount of grip strength that it requires. Almost all upper body exercises, because you're holding handles, require a decent amount of grip strength. And in conjunction with that, if you are doing the exercises properly, most of them, I would say 90+% of the exercises that you can do on them, perhaps even higher than 90%, I didn't actually run the math, forgive me, will require you to use your core a lot. And as all athletes in OCR do know or should know, there's a fly buzzing around me, core strength is extremely important, not only for navigating through, over, under, you know, whatever obstacles. It also is extremely important to have good core strength for running. So you want to develop good core strength while using that. So there's so many different exercises you can do on a TRX. Almost any body weight exercise that you can do on a TRX. Plus it functions, and actually I should say a suspension trainer, not just a TRX. They function, they have functions that you can't do with your body weight. So it's a great tool for those things. They can be set up. Most suspension trainers can be set up virtually anywhere, like a playground. You can set them up on a tree, like a lamp post. If it's a sturdy lamp post, obviously don't use some flimsy one. Like part of a porch. They have anchors you can set up indoors, as long as it's a sturdy door, not one of those like very flimsy thin kind, because that might actually break. But if you have a strong door, you can set a little anchor up at the top of the door and then have your suspension trainer hanging off of that so it doesn't go anywhere and you can still use it. I use my TRX indoors sometimes in the winter for different exercises, but also I just set it up in there sometimes to stretch, because there's a bunch of different stretches you can do with it. So suspension trainers can be extremely valuable for overall fitness. It's great because you're using your body weight, and So people call that functional fitness. I'll just say using your body weight with a tool like that and all the different ranges of motion and all the different types of exercises you can do with that does correlate and translate over to using your body weight and your strength to maneuver your body weight through obstacles and everything. These days I do virtually no extra grip strength training work. I was doing some rock climbing at a gym, but that closed down with COVID, shutting everything down. So pretty much all the grip strength training work I do is on pull-up bars, doing pull-ups and chin-ups and, you know, toes to bars and a bunch of different exercises. So not specifically grip strength, working on other things and developing my grip strength at the same time, and using the TRX. So there's a bunch of different exercises you can use there that make that are challenging for your grip and have you use your grip facing different directions and doing different things. And that's all it takes. That's all I did pretty much last year as well, and I didn't have a single failed obstacle because of grip strength. The only things I failed last year were spear throw and a slip wall where the rope was really tiny, and it was at the end of the Mill Spring Spartan Ultra, and it was freezing cold, and the wall had a ditch in front of it and a puddle, and it was too slippery, and I just couldn't get anywhere near that little rope at the top. But none of the grip obstacles have had any issues. So I would strongly recommend using a suspension trainer for multiple different exercises. Start plugging them into your routine. Maybe one day out of the week you only use a suspension trainer to get all the benefits in your core and all the different ranges of motions that you can do. There's a bunch of exercises that are great for strengthening your shoulders, your back, your chest, your single leg stability, for progressing from like a box pistol squat to a suspension trainer pistol squat, which is a little less stable, doesn't have any base underneath you, but still gives you the assurance that you're not going to fall and hurt yourself. So there's a lot of things you can do with it. I love TRX. Of all my training tools, we'll say like branded training tools out there, it's my favorite one. I like their suspension trainer better than the knockoff versions. I have used them. I've used them myself and I've used them with clients, and just because of the way they're set up, I don't find them as nice. That's not to say they don't work well, and if you know, they are much cheaper. So if you're on a tight budget, go and get one of those instead of a TRX. I would love one day to be working with TRX, but they don't have any positions for me. And I asked one time, I was like, hey, you know, I use your stuff a lot for training in OCR, and it doesn't seem like you have like a foothold in there. So if you're interested, I'd love to help you. And they're like, you need to have 100,000 followers before we'll even consider something like that. And I was like, okay, I don't care anymore. But they were nice and they sent me a rip trainer, so. Anyway, suspension trainers, phenomenal for body weight exercises in all planes of motion, in all different fields, things you can't do with just your normal body weight on like pull-up bars or a playground or something like that. So look into it. If you have it at your gym, many, almost all gyms these days have some type of suspension trainer. If they don't, they have rings, and a lot of things, like I said, can be done on rings that can be done on a suspension trainer. Not all the same things, but a lot of them. So start checking those out. In the description below, we've done 3 different articles on exercises that you can do with the TRX that are directly applicable for different things in OCR. For like single leg strength to help runners, for shoulder strength to help those who have problems injuring their shoulders on grip obstacles like rings and monkey bars and all that stuff. It happens more than you'd think. So check out those articles. Like I said, there's 3 of them in the description below. They're all very helpful and useful. And I think that about covers it for today. I will catch you next time on Coach and Coffee.